District Court is the yes. Serious civil case with people. And I also asked for the thing was that I believe it was the case for return to service. Is my 8 year old. It's a joint jurisdiction court handling civil, criminal, probate, mental health, eminent domain. Since it's a piece of failure, even if the county court judges handle it, and it's my privilege to serve. One of my greatest accomplishments is creating the juvenile intervention and mental health court in the system that has mental health issues. This will also the judges in Fort Bend County, and it's happy to know that along with the Democratic judges being mentioned. So great being here. Hope you have your support in getting reelected, Judge. Of the Associate District Court Judge. He was appointed in January of 2021. Since that time. Thank you. Next is. Civil and criminal cases. Civil starting years, including complex litigation cases. I teach at Local University. It was 10 years, including professional responsibility and students bridge the gap. So the practical side. So and an example for the Texas Education Agency, where I sit as a judge because it's twice official and making sure that comes support the teacher vote. I can't do this alone. I am Brenda Span and Justice is better with Brenda. Thank you. Yes, Williams and a district court. To continue. I started became a lawyer. I continue. Thank you all for having us for the Fort Bend District Court. Say that I've been in the state for 23 years. I have spent many years as a prosecutor. That was a serve as a chief prosecutor in the Harris County District Attorney's Office. 2021 the district experience that I had, and then it's additionally project what manufacturing district Orange County to create Bay County's first magistrate court, which is aimed at reducing the time it will spend in custody while they're waiting to see the judge after they're arrested. What you get in me as judge, but not just sits on which assesses what our county needs and works to improve the system. To do that, it's a change of that court. Thank you. Next one is presiding judge of County Court also the presiding judge of the Fort Bend County Victories Court, which handles both misdemeanor and felony jurisdiction. For 25 years, and there I was chief of the juvenile division, and they also tried cases, over 100 cases that included everything from misdemeanors to single is significant. State presiding judge, they eradicated every area of with a 125% clearance rate. Just to
box, Jordan, when it comes to it. And thank you for being here tonight. I appreciate you guys here tonight. Jamie K. Jordan, running for the new family court. Thanks.
Thank you. Next is Latasha Clayton, 507th District Court candidate.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Judge Latasha McGill Clayton, and I am your candidate also for the 501st Judicial District Court. I am currently the Associate Judge of the 505th District Court, where I was appointed in 2021 by the elected judge. And so I have been serving in that position for going on 6 years. Prior to that, I my own law practice, practicing mostly family law, criminal law, injury. After that, I went to the Harris
cases efficiently.
for your vote because I am qualified, I have the judicial experience, I bring compassion and fair rulings. Latasha McGill Clayton, Latasha McGill Clayton, Latasha McGill Clayton, and that's from my early teaching days. If you say it 3 times, you remember it. So Latasha McGill Clayton, Latasha McGill Clayton. Y'all missed it. Latasha McGill Clayton, thank you.
I think that was 6.
Thank you.
Okay, double your trouble. All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Toni Wallace. I serve as the presiding judge for, oh, I'm sorry. You're supposed to introduce me.
That was okay. I'm sorry, yes. Next up, we have Toni Wallace, who's running for reelection in Court of Law number 4. But I was gonna let you take the vote, though.
Reclaiming my time. Okay. I got excited because she said it 6 times. so it's exciting. My name is Toni Wallace. I am the presiding judge for County Court of Law number 4. And you know, y'all are here tonight because you want to learn about us, but we really want to get to know you all. We come to these forums and we come to these candidate events because we want to meet you. And so while we are up here and we get the questions and we get to answer those questions, what I really want to know is who are you guys and why should you guys be voting for us? Really quickly, I started the C Court, which is a young adults court for young offenders age 18 to 24 who need a little assistance. I also preside over a specialty court which seeks youth who are affected by human trafficking. That's commercial sexual exploitation. They're either at risk or they are victims of commercial sexual exploitation. Those are just 2 of the many cases that we cover in the county courts. We show up every single day because we care about our community and we want to continue to do the work. Toni Wallace for County Court of Law number 4. Wallace, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Stephen Longoria, candidate for Court of number 6.
Hello, my name is Stephen Longoria. I'm running for County Court at Law number 6. I'm always proud to start with this, and I apologize if you guys have heard it already, but I'm real happy, real pleased, thrilled with my blue-collar background. I was born in Corpus Christi. I was raised in my father's sheet metal shop. By age 15, I could weld. By age 16, I was driving a dump truck. I wanted to go off to the University of Texas, went there, got into Texas Southern's Thurgood Marshall School of Law, graduated from there, started working at the district attorney's office, especially the juvenile division, back in probably 1993. Married, 35 years, have 3 adult children. I've always dealt with juveniles and criminal law. And as the judges said, county courts at law handle criminal, juvenile, and civil, criminal and juvenile being the majority of the cases they hear. And so that's why I'm running, because I have 32 years of experience of dealing with criminal and juvenile. That's not paper law, that's dealing with people law, and the angst and problems that come with that. So again, I'm Stephen Longoria, running for County Court at Law number 6. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now this next part, we've got different questions for incumbents running for re-election to their current position versus candidates for other positions. Once again, with 60 seconds to answer, and this is where I could possibly get confused, but anyway, so we'll go over this. So brand new sort of backwards now. So Toni Wallace, we'll start with you. So what ruling or initiative during your tenure best demonstrates your effectiveness?
How long do I get to think of the answer? Any really, and actually I can answer that pretty quickly. Any ruling that saves the life of a child is an effective ruling for me. We deal with juvenile cases, and between the ages of 10 and 17, if they commit an offense, they're coming into my court. And one of the first things that I tell the parents is, that's my baby now. We are team, whatever your child's name is. And so we work really hard with the juvenile probation department, with our probation officers, with our juvenile prosecutors to ensure that that child is going to receive services very specific and customized to what they need. We will do a behavioral health assessment to figure out why is this child making the choices that they're making. And then we will also consider what's going on in the home. So we consider wraparound services so that we may fix the child and address what's going on with the child, be it mental health, substance abuse. But then you also have to deal with the parent or the siblings or the cousins or the community that they come from. So it's not just the ruling that affects the child, it's a ruling that affects the entire community. And you have to be mindful of that as a juvenile judge. Those are some of the rulings that I'm most proud of.
Okay, thank you. Next, Tyra McCollum, same question.
So I think the most important rulings that we make really relate to disposition. They relate to punishment. Because if we get to punishment, we know that there has already been some level of accountability by the person that's in front of us. And I think the fact that someone has already taken that accountability means something. So when we get to the opportunity to pass upon the idea of punishment, that's really where we effectuate change. What happens next to this person? Is it something that really requires that it be punitive? Or is it something that says that they need that grace, that they need for us to consider what we can do next for them and what they can do next for our community? Because there's more than one route to rehabilitating someone, and that route doesn't have to be jail. That route doesn't even necessarily have to be probation. Sometimes that route is real community service back. Give back what you took from the community. We talk about cause and effect. Let's be judges who are about real cause and real effect, and that makes for real impact.
Thank you. Julie, same question for you. Yes. What ruling or initiative during your tenure best demonstrates your effectiveness?
Seeing the people that come through the courtroom as an individual, treating them with respect and dignity, and treating every single person that walk in with the respect that they're due, and being equal and upholding the law at the same time. Holding each person accountable and upholding the law is, I believe, what we have done on the county court incumbents. We have children especially that come through need that extra hand-holding to be there to help them, to make sure that they have the needs and their needs are met. And whether it be a child coming through who doesn't have the money, who doesn't have food, we make sure that the food is provided. If they're not medication compliant, we make sure the medication is taken care of. If they have any sort of need, to be there for that child, and at the same time holding them accountable and making sure that due process is served properly.
Well, thank you. Now, another candidate, Marisha Murray, has joined us. She's a county court at law number 1. Could you take 60 seconds, please, to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Marisha Murray. I am running for judge of County Court at Law number 1. I am running because I am a lifelong resident of Fort Bend County, and I want what is best for our county. I want to make sure that there is justice and fairness and equality for every person that walks into my courtroom, and to make sure that I show compassion when it is necessary. And I have a true passion when it comes to mental health. Prior to becoming an attorney, I was an educator where I taught special education and regular education to elementary children. And so there's a passion that I have when it comes to juveniles and mental health. And I want to make sure that Fort Bend County continues to provide support for those who are struggling with mental health. It tends to affect multiple families. It's something that people deal with on a regular basis, and when we are in the criminal system, mental health is an issue that is brought up a lot. And so it is very important that we pay attention to that, get people the help that they need, and get these families the help that they need so that they don't have to go through the issues that they struggle with at times. I am asking for your support. I'm asking for your vote. Again, I am Marisha Murray, and I am running for candidate of County Court at Law number 1.
Okay, thank you. So now this question for the candidates that are not incumbents, and we'll start with you, Stephen. And the question is, please pass the mic down to him. Okay, which professional experiences have most prepared you to manage a courtroom, rule on objections, and control proceedings?
I think I'm going to go back to my 32 years of experience of being in front of these guys and judges and throughout the state of Texas. You learn how to handle yourself, you learn how to handle your client, you know, learn how to best advise your client, adults as well as juveniles. And so that's the experience that I'm going to bring to this courtroom. Again, 32 years of dealing with people. And there's a difference, as I just said, about dealing with people versus dealing with contracts and civil cases and paperwork. You learn to deal with people and the emotions and the problems that come with that.
Great, thank you. Okay, now actually, Monica Rollins has now joined us. She is running for re-election to the 328th District Court. Would you like to take 60 seconds to introduce yourself, Monica?
Sure. Good evening. Forgive me for my tardiness. I've been working late. I am Monica Rollins, presiding judge of 328th District Court in Fort Bend County. I am unopposed for my primary, thank goodness, but I'm out here trying to get out the vote. It is so important that we have our judges voted in, those judges who are competent, who have been getting the job done. I would like to think I'm one of those judges. And so with that stated, don't just skip over my name and the other ones that are unopposed. Make sure you hit our name, and that way we can better assess what we need to do for the general. So with that stated, I'm a family court judge. I do all things family, adoption, divorce, custody, special immigration cases, and name changes and so forth. I love my job. I think I've been doing a great job, at least in my head. And so, with that stated, I am looking for re-election. I am respectfully requesting your vote. Thank you.
Okay, so while you have the mic on, 60 seconds, what ruling or initiative during your tenure best demonstrates your effectiveness?
What ruling,
What ruling or initiative during your tenure best demonstrates your effectiveness? Yeah, so what are you most proud of what you've done?
We have some pretty tough cases in family court, and so I would have to say there have been times which we're challenged with legal obstacles or impediments, and we still have to try and do what's best interest for the child. And I think the worst case I've had so far, and I'm not sure if that's where the direction you're going, but I had a case where there was a young boy who he was 6, and his stepfather had beat him to literally death. They had to bring him back to life. Mom was sitting there asking for custody, and she was still with stepdad. Dad wanted custody. And it was some defects in the pleadings. So I had to follow the law strictly before I could get to sending the child to safety. And so those are some of the things that we face when we're on the bench. Serious set of facts. And if you're not equipped for it, if you're not connected with the community, if you're not connected with the family code, you can really alter someone's lives in a negative fashion. So that's why it's so important. I don't know that I answered your question.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now to Tasha. Which professional experiences have most prepared you to manage a courtroom, rule on objections, and control proceedings?
Well, that's a great question. I'm doing that right now, and I've been doing it for 6 years. As an associate judge, I want to explain exactly what an associate judge is. I've had some conversations with some of the community, and some are like, so is that where you just take her place if she's not there? That'd be a great deal, but that's not what it is. What an associate judge does is pretty much the same thing that a presiding judge does. I have heard cases which are temporary orders, final orders. It's only unless someone objects to me on a final, just to kind of give you all an overview. For the past 6 years, I have run an efficient court. Whatever my presiding judge is not able to hear, that falls on me. And so by now, in year 6, I have heard thousands of cases where I've had to rule on objections. I've had to make sure that those cases run efficiently. I've had to make rulings that are effective and prompt, and it's what I am doing right now. And so I'm literally running for the court that I am doing right now.
Thank you. Jamie, same question.
Thank you so much. So I guess it starts from ground zero. So just so you know, some of my background is that when I was 3 years old, my mom suffered from a stroke that left her disabled, and she didn't have the ability to move the right side of her body, still doesn't. So it starts from ground zero. From the time that I was 3 years old, I was made to serve, be a caretaker. One of the things about family court is that there's compassion, it's service, it's about relating to other people. So being raised by a mom, caretaking for a mom, and being resilient and seeing her persistence. And then from that, I went into a profession of nursing, and I worked as a nurse taking care of patients on a medical surgical floor. And from there, I went to law school when I had a 1, 2, and 3-year-old. So I went to law school at night, and I took care of my kids during the day. And from there, I entered family law practice, where I see the behind the scenes. I get to see what it's like in the people's homes. I represent children in the court, so I get to talk to witnesses, talk to therapists, talk to teachers. I get to see the behind the scenes, so I know not just what goes on when it comes into court, but what's gone on behind the scenes. With that experience, not only from my upbringing, for what I've done as a professional family law attorney, I think that that suits me for the job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, Marisha.
Could you repeat the question?
Which professional experiences have most prepared you to manage a courtroom, rule on objections, and control proceedings?
The experience that I have is I've been practicing over a decade as an attorney. And as an attorney, you're actually in the trenches when you are working in the criminal justice system. You're actually with the clients, you know what is happening, you know what needs to happen, you know what needs to maybe be tweaked a little bit in the courtroom for it to be more efficient. And so the experience that I have is that I actively have participated in trials where I have made objections, where I know the law, where I am aware of it, and that is something that I plan to bring with me to the bench. And so it's just the experience of being an attorney of over a decade, practicing in all of the areas that Court 1 covers, which includes juvenile law, probate law, civil law, criminal law, juvenile law. I practiced in all of those areas and have had hearings and trials in all of those areas. So it gives me the knowledge that I need to know when it comes to making rulings. Thank you.
Thank you. Tamika.
Thank you for the question. As I've stated, I've been practicing for 23 years. My current role is a chief prosecutor in Harris County. And in that role, my job is to supervise younger prosecutors, but I also make all plea recommendations on murders and capital murder cases for our office that are assigned to my division. Additionally, I have served as chief of our mental health division in DA's office. I've also worked as a criminal defense attorney, and so that experience allowed me to do the next most important job in my on my resume is I was also presiding judge of the 400 District Court. So I've literally done the job that I am running for now, just a different court. And when I was judge, I did have one of the lower dockets. Additionally, I had great relationships with all of the department heads when trying to get things done for our courthouse. And that's really important, is that you want a judge who has a good temperament, because when you're doing the job, it's not just what you do on the bench, it's also as important what you're doing off the bench. And so my courtroom, I had great numbers, and because of my own life experiences, I could relate when cases were coming before me and make decisions. Is this something that needs to be handled with a harsher punishment, or is this something where someone needs rehabilitation? And because of my experience, I was able to make those decisions.
Thank you. Emil?
Please read the question once more.
Which professional experiences have most prepared you to manage a courtroom, rule on objections, and control proceedings?
I was the judge of the 268th District Court. I was the associate judge of the 240th. I've been an attorney now for 26 years, going into my 27th year. I grew up here in Fort Bend County, or on the edge of Fort Bend County, on the edge of Fort Bend County, number 6 of 11 brothers and sisters. And so my family grew up during the cocaine wars. And it has been my desire, my pleasure, and the honor to make sure that the people who come through the court now are treated with dignity and respect, and that they get justice. So I'm more interested in justice than I am in just pure numbers. The numbers come, but the justice is most important. All right?
Thank you. Brunetta?
Yeah, so I've been practicing law for about 30 years now, very complex litigation type cases. I'm also a court-appointed receiver, which is essentially the hands and the feet of the court, going out to make sure that the judgments that the courts have entered are actually fully executed and complied with. I'm also a court-appointed mediator. Mediator is someone who sits as a neutral party to help resolve issues between the parties. Essentially, that's what a judge does. The judge sits there and they listen and they make rulings, calling balls, and strikes on particular objections. I'm also an independent hearing examiner. That's where I sit and make decisions about objections, whether they should be sustained or overruled. So the preparation is there. The practice that I have covers a very broad area of law, which gives me the perspective of the different individuals or companies that I have represented. What's really important about this particular court is there is a backlog. You need someone who's going to be effective and efficient to get in there and get the job done while being respectful not only to the staff, but to the community. I'm in the community. What's important is judicial trust and judicial independence.
Thank you. Archie?
First of all, my 18 years as an attorney that I spent in the courtroom prepared me to serve as associate judge. I also served at the Fort Bend County Public Defender's Office, which gave me the criminal law experience, and that's important because Fort Bend County is general jurisdiction county. We need a judge that has both criminal and civil experience. I have been serving as associate judge, and when I entered as associate judge, we came in during the COVID-19 pandemic where there was a significant backlog. We implemented policies and procedures which within a year we eliminated that backlog. I presided over 40 jury trials and hundreds of bench trials, eliminating that backlog. The court that I'm running for, the 268 District Court, has over 750 more active cases than my court has. I'm going to implement the same policies and procedures that I've implemented in the 434th District Court to eliminate that backlog. Archie Brain for the 268th District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Frank?
Okay, my experience is that I sat on this court, the 240 District Court, for 4 years as a presiding judge. I presided over complex cases, felony cases like murders, assaults, rapes, and what have you. I've also presided over complex civil cases. I presided over bond hearings. I presided over mental health hearings. I've helped in jury selection, jury qualifications. I made rulings on plaintiff and defendant's objections. And I actively managed my court. I got it through the COVID-19 pandemic when it was closed down for a year. So I'm asking for your vote, Frank Fraley, for return to service as judge of the 240 District Court.
Thank you. So now we're going to get to a question for those who are incumbents. So we'll start with Julie. So looking back at your time in your court, what would you have handled differently?
That's definitely a tough one. Probably when we first get on the bench, trying to figure out all of the cases and how to handle them and managing them better. But thankfully, I did have great guidance in my fellow colleagues on the bench. Judge Wallace was already on the bench at the time for a year, so I was able to seek her guidance. But getting on the bench and figuring out how to handle the cases at the time was probably an obstacle that I dealt with, and having guidance and also calling the prior judge to me that was on the bench helped and alleviate that stress and make the process better.
Thank you. Tyra, same question.
So for starters, I'm not going to give myself an A+, but I'm definitely going to give myself an A-, right? Which is, you know, when you take the bench, whether you are coming from private practice, I was coming from the DA's office, the lens is everything. And the lens that I had was having been a prosecutor. And so if I were to kind of go back in time and say, what would I have done differently? I probably would have embraced less of that mentality, not in a bad way, but other than to say that seeing compassion from one lens and then seeing compassion from the bench is different. Because when I was seeing that compassion in the DA's office, I saw it with a team. When I was seeing and now see it from the bench, I see it for myself and by myself. So knowing how to make those decisions in the most private moments of your life, that's something that requires maturity, growing up, confidence, and the ability to say, I did it well, and I'm going to do it better tomorrow.
Thank you. Tony?
Can you read the question?
Yes, so looking back, what would you have handled differently?
I'm going to be real specific. I had a young woman who came through our court, and she came through our CORE program, and that's our trafficking program. CORE stands for Creating Opportunities for Rehabilitation and Empowerment. And through the course of that program, we provide services and rehabilitation for these youth, primarily girls, but we are open to boys, so far we've only had young women. We had a young woman that came through. Our girls like to run, and so she ran away. We found her, we brought her back, and then we ended up sending her to a placement facility. While she was already a trafficking victim, and while she was at that facility, she was violated again. And when she came back to Fort Bend County, she ran again, and she was on the run for at least two years. When we finally caught up with her, we found her in a Harris County case and had to bring her back to Fort Bend County. I had to look that young woman in the face in my courtroom and apologize to her for sending her to a place where she was then violated a second time. That was the hardest thing I've ever done from the bench, but it's the name and the face that stays with me. And I pray for her every night. I pray that what happened to her has made her stronger and better, but we had to apologize because we had a hand in that. So.
Thank you. Monica?
That's a tough question. I think the thing I really would have done differently is I would have taken a harder stance on implementing, and it's no fault of my own, it's some red tape when you get in there, politics comes into play even bigger. But taking a harder stance on trying to start a drug court. When I came into this position, my court was an infant toddler's court and then is discontinued. And one of the things I would like to implement, and I'm still wanting to implement, is drug court. And I kind of fought for it for a while, and then I gave up. And I got tied up with getting rid of my docket and taking care of the cases and so forth. And that's something I really wish I would have just dug my heels in and stayed with. But with that stated, that's what I intend to do, is go back to the drawing board and continue that fight if reelected.
Thank you. Okay, so now we've got a new question, and Frank, I'll start with you. What would you change about the way the current court operates?
Well, what I would do is what I had started during the time I was on the bench, which is to give everyone a docket control order. I'm not sure the present judge is doing that. Now, a docket control order is common for civil cases. Basically says certain things must be done on certain days, and you're given a jury trial date from day one to work toward. So I would do the same thing, which is what I did before, is to also give a docket control order for your criminal cases. That's fair to the defendant, that's fair to everyone involved. What it does, it moves the case along and have a jury trial date to work toward.
Thank you. Arjun.
I believe I was, the 434th District Court was the first court in Fort Bend County to start implementing docket control orders. And I was the one that put that together. And so that's the first thing I would do when I went to be the next judge of the 268th District Court. It puts pressure on the attorneys and it sets deadlines and it makes them move the cases forward. And that's the first thing I'm going to do to make sure that those additional 750 cases get reduced. The second thing I'm going to do is bring the dignity to that court that it deserves. That court currently is referred to by the attorneys in Fort Bend County as the cursing court because of the way that attorney is talking to the attorneys and cursing at them, basically. And so every single person that walks into the court deserves respect, dignity, and as a judicial, that's an embarrassment to the judiciary, which is the main reason that I ran for that court. So I'm going to make sure that integrity is restored. Judge Brain for the 268th District Court. Thank you.
Thank you. Brenda?
Absolutely. First thing is clearing out that docket. That has to be covered. I'll give you a quick example of a case I handled. There was a judge who was being extremely disrespectful, extremely rude, barely looked at me, and I urged him to apply the right law, and he refused to do it and looked at me and told me, appeal me. Well, I did, and I won, and that was important to me to make sure that not only justice prevails, but also to making sure that what things are being done in court are being done right. People need to be respected. People need to understand and know when they approach a judge in a courtroom, it's already stressful enough. You need to make sure you have someone who's in that court that's going to be compassionate, someone who's authentic, someone who is touchable, accountable, and accessible. So being in that court is to make sure that that docket is clear, making sure that every possibility of using mediation is enforced so that we can get that docket cleared and bring in the respect for people to know and understand when they are there, they will be respected. Justice will be fair, but it will be firm.
Thank you. Anil?
Can you read the question once more?
What would you change about the way the current court operates?
Well, what I would do is what I did in the 268. 268. We did a top to bottom review of all the cases to see how long people were sitting in jail, how high the bonds were, and where it was appropriate, we adjusted the bonds because these cases are not just numbers, they are people. There are families on both sides. There are victims who are waiting for justice, and there are defendants whose families need that support or need to know that their loved one will be taken care of. So I believe in redemption. I believe in rehabilitation, and I believe in compassion for both the defendant as well as the victims of crime. So I want to take it back to that and bring us back to a period where we can be compassionate, but tough, strong where we need to be, smart where we gotta be.
Thank you. Tamika?
Thank you. On my wish list, which is not just under my control, I think that it is time for Fort Bend County to separate our courts. If you look at our general jurisdiction district courts, just to give you the numbers, a district court can have anywhere from 800 to 1,000 criminal cases, and then generally all of them have over 1,000 pending civil cases. Compare that with Harris County, a district judge has anywhere from 800 to 1,000 cases, period. Our judges have too many cases, and under the law, the civil cases have to take a backseat to the criminal cases. So for our civil litigants, they're often waiting a lot longer to get a resolution on their cases because they have to stand behind the criminal cases. So we're almost at 1 million people. It's time to separate our district courts. I can't do that on my own. It would take the vote of the district judges and the commissioners to get it done, but that will be one of my goals for us to work on. Additionally, I want to bring our young offender court back to bring it to the court. I was the first judge to help develop that court because I believe in our youth, and that if we can kind of get these young folks the resources they need, we can get them out of the criminal justice system. So I want to come back and work in that program and build out that program and kind of get more of our young folks out of the justice system and get them on the right track, as we can do that if we put the resources into our youth.
Thank you. Alicia?
So, I do apologize. Can you repeat the question one more time? I apologize.
Oh, no worries. What would you change about the way the current court operates?
What I would change is the diplomacy, the compassion, and the communication that is in County Court at Law number 1 right now. The incumbent that has been there has been in the seat for approximately 4 terms now, and he rules his courtroom like a dictatorship. And what I want to bring is more of a courtroom that is welcoming to the defendants, that is welcoming to the attorneys, that shows respect to everybody, not just attorneys, but defendants as well. And making sure that that the cases move along and evolve without making it a burden to the attorneys and the defendants. 97% of cases are resolved without going to trial. So a lot of times when we have these docket forms that push a certain date, there are a lot of things that's going on. It can sometimes create a crunch that's unnecessary. So what I want to do is I just want to make the flow smooth and just make sure that everyone feels welcome.
Thank you. Jamie?
Thank you so much. So the 501 is a newly created court by the legislature, so it's not an established court. So let's just, so we can make it clear on that. So the 501 has been designated for family cases. And so when we think about this, just to wrap our heads around it, say for example, you don't get along with your partner, somebody wants to file for divorce. You file for divorce, you file the paperwork, you wait to get a citation on it, then you have to serve the other party. Then they get 20 days to file an answer. And then if you have to have some temporary orders in place, you got to get that set for a hearing. Here's where the delay comes, is that when a divorce is filed, there's an urgency. Couples are not getting along, kids are in the home, things are going around. Ability to divorce right away. And sometimes that means ASAP, that means coordinator that responds timely to get court dates set. That means scheduling orders so that a family doesn't have to exhaust themselves mentally, emotionally, financially, sitting in a divorce case, which is the worst time of their life, one of the worst times of your life. So it's making sure that these cases roll effectively and efficiently down the road. I've been practicing in so many counties, seeing what, I'd say one, but thank you for your time.
Thank you, Latasha.
Thank you. Just as Ms. Jordan stated, the 501st is a newly created court. And having been the associate judge and having my 21 years of experience in family law, I will continue to do what we're doing in the 505th. When we first came in, as most of you all have stated, we came in really, and so the cases were set a little bit differently, but we had to make sure that we were efficient with those cases. And so since we have continued to do that, we make sure that cases are running efficiently. As Ms. Jordan stated, we have a coordinator that responds timely in cases. And I'll give you an example. If someone comes into my courtroom on temporary orders hearing and it's an emergency, I don't make them wait 30 days for a hearing. I'm like, come on up, let's go ahead, let's hear some evidence, and let's put a Band-Aid on it until we can get some orders in place. And if it needs to be reset, it's not 30 days out. So we are running efficiently, and that's the same thing that I do in the 501st.
Thank you. So Stephen, please close us out.
I think what I would do is, and I think I've said it twice, I would bring 32 years of experience to the courtroom. 32, thank you for asking me again. I don't know how to impress upon you, dealing with criminals, dealing with juvenile cases is different. You have to know what you're doing. Juvenile cases are a unique type of law. I've handled, unfortunately, murder cases, juvenile murder cases, sexual assault, bank robber, and you have to know what you're doing. So in this particular court, and feel free to ask whenever you see the judge in that court, is ask him his experience in criminal cases and juvenile cases. I want the community to be safe. You need judges that know what they're doing, that know how to handle cases. And so that's exactly why I'm running. And so the difference is bringing 32 years of knowing how to run a courtroom, because I've been throughout the state of Texas in courtrooms. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's give a big round of applause to all of our judicial candidates. So next up are our judge candidates. I meant county judge, Fort Bend County judge candidates.
It's a lot of people. How are you?
Going good. It is.